Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Cheetah exhibit. My name is Brandon. I'm one of the Cheetah trainers here at the park. In total, we have a family of 9 African cheetahs that call Busch Gardens their home. Now, of those 9 African cheetahs, they range in age of our youngest, which are 5 years old, all the way to our oldest cheetahs here at the park, which are 14 years old. And then of those 9, we have 4 females and we have 5 males. So currently on the habitat, we have our youngest male out here. His name is Dash. He lives here with his brother Chase, who is also 5 years old. But they are our youngsters. We affectionately call them our COVID Cubs because they were born about 5 years ago, and the big life event that happened about 5 years ago was COVID. So they had a unique experience for the first couple of years, or first couple months of their life. So the entire park was actually shut down due to COVID. So they had the opportunity to go everywhere in the park because there was no guests in the park. So they got to see lots of animals through the glass, like the gorillas, the orangutans, the tigers, things like that. They had the chance to go to different random janitor closets. They got to go to roller coaster queue lines, just everywhere in the park. So they got exposed to a lot of new sights and sounds very young. It was a great experience for them. But what they weren't used to is all of you, a bunch of guests. So when the park eventually reopened, all that they really knew as far as people goes was the couple trainers that they would work with each and every day. So a lot of guests coming through the park, that was brand new to them. They hadn't experienced that for the first couple months of their life. So it took a hot minute to get used to it. And you can see Dash, when we first started this interaction here, he was a little hesitant. That's still him getting his bearings, making sure that there's a lot of you staring at him right now, making sure that he's comfortable, making sure that it's gonna be a safe scenario. But he knows that when we come out here with them, it's our job to make it fun and exciting, make it a positive experience. We give him lots of his favorite snacks for being out here, make it a reinforcing time to be out here. So we'll let him check, stare out at whatever he wants to, if that's what he needs, to make himself feel comfortable, and then we'll move on with the training session from there. So we utilize what's called positive reinforcement training with all of our cheetahs here at the park. So what that looks like is anytime an animal does a behavior correctly, we're gonna reinforce them with something that they find reinforcing. Now, Dash finds the meat, the raw meat, is going to be his primary way of being reinforced. All of the cheetahs eat approximately about 2 pounds of raw meat a day. But in addition, something that Dash really finds reinforcing, and you might have seen Allie using it, is a squirt bottle filled with unsalted chicken broth. It's something that Dash really finds reinforcing. Now, not all of the cheetahs like it, but Dash really does find it as something that he likes, an extra reward. So we'll utilize that in the training process with him. Some of our cheetahs like bones, one of our cheetahs even likes goat milk. So it's our job to find out what exactly each cheetah finds reinforcing, so when we're training them, we can give them the appropriate reward. So you might be utilizing positive reinforcement training with your dog at home. So what that looks like is if you ask your dog to sit or lay down and your dog does it correctly, and you give your dog a treat, that's positive reinforcement, just giving a reward for a job well done. So that's what we do here with our cheetahs. We never tell them, no, that's incorrect. We just ignore those incorrect responses and highlight or reinforce behaviors that we want to see more of. It's as simple as that. But it gives all of our cheetahs a choice in the matter. So Dash knows that if he wasn't feeling it today, he doesn't have to come out here and do the training session. He's free to wander around the habitat if that's what he would prefer doing. But it's his choice. We don't want our cheetahs working for us. We want them working with us during all of the training sessions. Now you might notice that we are out here on the same habitat with a 100-pound carnivore, so that's not something that we take lightly. It's not first day on the job, you're going right in with the cheetah. That takes a lot of time to build up to this point, like you see Allie and myself doing right now. So we'll start by building our relationship with the fence in between, and then depending on the cheetah, that's going to dictate how long it's going to be before we actually go in with them. So for some cheetahs, just after a couple months, both the trainer and the cheetah feel comfortable going into the same space like you see us doing right now. But for other trainers of cheetahs, it can take up to a couple years before we're going in with a particular cheetah. That's just because we want to have a strong relationship with them before going into the same habitat with them. My first day on the job, when I first stepped up to the fence to feed a couple of the cheetahs, they hissed at me because I'm somebody new coming up really close into their bubble. They didn't really like it. They're like, who are you? So I had to work really hard at building my relationship with them. When we are reinforcing or feeding our cats, it's going to be hand-delivered. So you can see Allie and myself, we've been hand-delivering our reinforcement to Dash. We never just put a food bowl in the habitat and then walk away. For one, some of our cheetahs live in different social groups. Like Dash lives here with his brother Chase, so we don't want them competing over the same food bowl. Another reason that we hand feed them is because each cheetah has an individualized diet. So depending on how much they weigh, we're able to adjust their diet accordingly, their age, weight, things like that. Then for Dash, or any of our cheetahs, when we're training them, we're able to build a strong relationship and utilize different training techniques by reinforcing them and giving them all their food coming from us as trainers. So something that we utilize with all of the cheetahs. Cheetahs eat approximately about 2 pounds of raw meat a day, but it's going to vary on the cheetah, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the cheetah. Right now, Dash is just showing us that he just kind of wants to look out at the crowd before moving on with the training session. So there's different behaviors that we can ask our cheetahs. For instance, all of them know different things like to sit, to lay down. We can ask them up onto a higher surface, like the rock over on the right-hand side. But they also do things like A to B. So when we first came out here, Allie pointed Dash to me, I received him, and then I sent Dash back to Allie. Just going from one trainer to another, we'll give him a point, and he knows to go find the other trainer. That other trainer will usually give a name call, just so he knows exactly where to go. You can see
Dash didn't want to run